Welcome back to the program. Today we have with us author and speaker Darren Nelson, who is with Liberty Works, but he's also here to talk to us about his new book that just came out. Darren, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what your new book is about and how that ties into the everyday work you do with Liberty Works?
Yes, well, the title is The 10 Principles of Regulation and Reform. Regulation is a huge issue for Liberty Works. It's a huge issue for most think tanks around the world and for most governments around the world.
One of the things that I know that the Liberty Movement here in the United States has been focusing on the regulation side is a lot of financial regulation. Is that one of the things that your book touches on, or what types of regulations do you write about in your book?
Yeah, look, it's mainly about principles, but I do actually cite plenty of examples. Financial regulations is very important. I touch on that in the terms of banking and central banking, but also another huge area is environment and energy.
What would you view as the top 2 or 3 principles that you've focused on or worked on when writing this book that you would suggest are the most important for any civil society?
I think like the main takeaway, I know these sorts of books can be very technical for non-economists, but a concept that I'd love everybody to try to remember is a thing called Baptists and Bootleggers.
Okay, and explain that to my viewers who haven't picked up your book and have never heard that phrase before.
It's a phrase that refers to the prohibition regulations back in the 1920s, and the types of people who were behind those regulations through an informal alliance were actual Baptists, as in Christian Baptists, and bootleggers.
One of the things that we're seeing with the Trump administration is the fact that he is pulling back a lot of regulations, but he's also implementing a sort of environment where the government can kind of get out of the way. How do you think President Trump is doing, and how would you grade him as an author of and an expert about this type of thing? How would you grade President Trump?
Oh, fantastic. He's even done more than President Reagan did, and President Reagan did quite a bit in this field. So he's getting a lot more press on tax reform, which is great, but his regulation reforms are even bolder still.
One final question for you. What is one thing walking into this new year, 2018, that you hope not only just the United States or even Australia, but other governments adapt when it comes to fewer regulations and more liberty?
Well, I think to copy what Trump has been doing, and hopefully the Trump administration can stay in the path. They initially set out to do, for every regulation they put in, to get rid of 2, but this year they got rid of 20 for every 1. So if Australian government or any other government can get anywhere near that, that would be fantastic.
All right, Darren, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you again.